Hi Martin, this is the intro. Hello all my e-commerce empire builders. If you run a dropshipping business or are thinking about starting a dropshipping business and you mentioned it to someone, you've probably heard a long list of assumptions. On our Instagram, I asked you to submit every assumption that you've had or someone else has had about dropshipping. And in this video, I'm gonna answer them. Stick around to learn if you actually need $1,000 to get started with Facebook ads, if it's hard to find a winning product, and if dropshipping is way too saturated for you to get started. Let's not waste any more time and jump straight into it. There's the light. The first assumption comes from Oh My TJ, who says that it's overly crowded now and newcomers don't have a chance. Oh My TJ, that assumption is completely wrong. A few weeks ago, I was talking to pro dropshippers Sarah and Audrey, who've been featured on the French Oberlo blog. Sarah and Audrey are 25 and 26, and they felt the same thing. They thought it was too late to start. Well, they started last year, and they just started a new store this February, and it's already made over $4 million. You heard that right. It's never too late to start. It might seem like everyone else is way ahead of you, but you can always get started with dropshipping because there's always new trending products, and there's always new products that people will want to purchase or look out for. So don't be discouraged if you're a newcomer and you want to start dropshipping. If something isn't working, it probably means that you haven't optimized part of your store, you haven't figured out Facebook ads, or maybe you just don't have a winning product. But dropshipping itself is not overcrowded and it's not too saturated to get started. The next assumption comes from JackStew804. Jack says, it's easy. The business model is simple. Actually doing it though is extremely hard. This assumption is pretty true. Dropshipping can be very difficult. And the reason for that is that just like most things, it has a steep learning curve. And you can't just learn it by reading about it. You actually have to jump in and do it. To give you an analogy that I always like to use with dropshipping, think about running. If you wanted to run a marathon and you looked up how to do it online, it seems pretty simple. Just keep running straight. Eventually you'll get to 40 kilometers and you will run a marathon. It's the same thing with dropshipping. If you look it up online, you can find guides on how to do everything step by step. Now, is running a marathon easy? No, and neither is starting a dropshipping store. And that's because there's lots of challenges along the way, and it's something that you need to set aside time for and set aside a lot of mental capacity for. And it is going to take a lot of effort. Now, don't be discouraged. Just like running a marathon, it can be extremely rewarding. Rather than health though, it can be a huge financial benefit for you. So no, dropshipping is definitely not easy, and this assumption is true. It is quite difficult, but that doesn't mean it's impossible, and that doesn't mean that it's not worth doing, because the payoff is huge. Let's move on to the next assumption. This one's from Corey, who's actually previously been on our channel. Corey says, the assumption is that it's a get-rich-quick way to make money. Wow. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say that dropshipping is a get-rich-quick scheme, and that assumption is simply not true. The reason it's not true is because you can make a lot of money with dropshipping, but it's certainly going to take you some time. Even if you go the quick way and run Facebook ads, you still need to learn how to run Facebook ads, and that takes a lot of time. You need to set up your store, find winning products. You need to brand your business. It takes a lot of work and effort. And if you're someone that actually started your own dropshipping store, you know it's not quick. It actually takes quite a bit of time. Once you have everything set up, you can definitely make a lot of money quickly, but otherwise, it's going to take a lot of time and effort. So this assumption is completely false. And I'll make sure to include a link to the interview that we did with Corey and Rodney down in the description below. Alvin says, I assume to be a successful dropshipper, Let me try again. Let me take a filming break. I was on a good roll there. Alvin says, I assume to be a successful dropshipper, one must become good at marketing. Alvin, that assumption is completely correct. When I interviewed Camille, or otherwise known as the Ecom King on YouTube, he said that he doesn't actually refer to himself as an e-commerce entrepreneur, but instead a marketer or a digital marketer. This completely makes sense because ultimately when you're dropshipping, you're not actually touching any products yourself. The supplier is shipping the products directly to your customers. All you're doing is setting up your online store, importing products, making them look good, selling the features, selling the benefits, and convincing customers that these products will solve their problems. Now, because of that, you need to be really good at selling and marketing those products. So it's imperative that if you want to be a good dropshipper, you need to understand how to be a good marketer. But don't be discouraged by this. There are countless resources online to teach you how to become good at marketing. And if you don't want to do that, you can also just individually look at products and see how other companies market them. It's totally doable. But yes, you will need to be good at marketing to be good at dropshipping. Hope that's not too aggressive. This next assumption comes from Jonathan James Johnson, and it's in line with the last one. Jonathan's assumption is, Facebook ads have a steep learning curve. Yeah, they do. I can tell you as someone who's been working with Oberlo for more than 2 years that Facebook ads can be one of the steepest learning curves and one of the biggest barriers to entry for dropshippers. When you first jump into Facebook Business Manager, it can be super confusing. There's so many things going on, so many options that you can select, and it's really confusing to know how many ad sets should you run, how many ads do you need to create, creatives, how many winning products do you test at the same time. It can be super overwhelming, but there's a few important things to remember. Number one, nobody was ever born a Facebook ads expert. Anyone who's good at Facebook ads took the time to sit down and learn it. And yes, it is going to take you time to sit and learn, but don't be discouraged by that. Second, Facebook ads isn't the only way you can market your business. Now, if you jump onto YouTube or Google and look at how to market your dropshipping products, you'll most likely see everything to do with Facebook ads and Instagram influencers. Well, guess what? It's almost the end of 2020 and there's countless other ways to market your products. You can use TikTok, you can use Twitter, you can use YouTube influencers, and you can even use Snapchat. Just because you don't understand Facebook ads doesn't mean that's the only way to succeed. Previously, when I interviewed Camille, the king of e-com, I'll make sure to include that link in the description below as well, he suggested that most beginners start out with Instagram influencers. And the reason being is when you're looking for Instagram influencers, all you need to do is talk to people. Send out DMs, send out emails, and ask them to work with you. However, Facebook ads, it's its completely own system. So sometimes it's easier for beginners to start with Instagram influencers because you just have to talk to people. And once you start working with Instagram influencers, you'll actually be able to run Facebook ads way easier because your Facebook pixel will know what type of customers are ideal or not. So yes, Jonathan, Facebook ads do have a steep learning curve, but do not let that deter you. Number one, you'll figure it out. And if you can, number two, there's tons of other ways that you can market your products and start building your empire. The next assumption comes from Connor off Ringa. Connor's assumption is, it is hard to find a winning product. That assumption is completely false. I've worked at Oberlo for 2.5 years. So I've seen the outside where it's YouTube videos, blog posts, and people talking about trending products. What's trending this year? What's over? What's too saturated? And as someone that has been close to the data and worked with lots of pro dropshippers, I can tell you that that is simply not true. There's a few reasons for this. Number one, there's always new winning trending products. AliExpress has millions of products to choose from. And those suppliers know that to make money, they constantly need to be on top of products that people want to see. So if you think that there's no winning products out there, then you need to just look a little bit harder.
Look hard.
Because there are, and there's new ones coming out all the time. Second, a lot of winning products are actually recycled year after year. So, for example, every Halloween, the light up mask is extremely popular, and pro dropshippers know that it was popular last year and it'll be popular this year as well. Now, will it hit the same popularity that it did last year? Maybe, maybe not, but there is still a huge profit potential to be made. And it's amazing because you already have proof that the product has worked last year. If you're having a hard time finding a winning product, I would suggest sitting down and thinking, what about the products you know and what don't you like about them? Because figuring that out may help you understand that you might have some reservations that are keeping you away from winning products that could actually bring you a lot of money. They're out there. And just in time for your assumption, Connor, a few weeks ago, Jessica and I started live streaming every single week with a list of new winning trending products. So, If you ever feel like you're running out of winning products and don't know what to sell, make sure to check out our YouTube channel and join us every single week. The last assumption that I'm going to be reading today comes from the Prince of Persia. His assumption is you need to have a lot of money, around £1,000+ for Facebook ads. I'm here to tell you that unfortunately, yes, that assumption is true. If you want to get started running Facebook ads and you've never ran them before, it will most likely cost around $1,000. Now, let me explain what goes into that. If you're just getting started with Facebook ads, you need to test tons of ad sets, each with separate interests, for a few days to see what works first. That initial testing is going to cost a lot of money. Now, if you don't have £1,000 to invest in your dropshipping business, don't be discouraged. We've had lots of pro dropshippers on our YouTube channel before that have explained that they actually started with Instagram influencers, or they built organic accounts that actually brought in traffic without Facebook ads. Eventually, once they grew their business a little bit and had money to invest, yes, they started running Facebook ads. But don't let that be a barrier to entry for you. If you don't have any money to invest in marketing, start a TikTok, start an Instagram account, start posting pins on Pinterest. There are so many ways that you can actually market your product and business, and if you use that as a barrier to entry, you're putting that barrier up yourself, because that doesn't have to exist if you are creative and find other ways to market your products. Unfortunately, the Prince of Persia, it's true, Facebook ads are expensive to get started with, but that's not the only way that you can market and succeed with your dropshipping business. That's the end of the assumptions that I'll be reading today. If there was an assumption that you think that I missed, or one that I got wrong, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And until next time, happy dropshipping.